You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Will Geer's Theatricum Botanicum for their presentation of Heinrich Ibsen's An Enemy of the People.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Christopher W. Jones. This has been an extraordinary process doing this play, and just like a multi-layered play that we've taken this. I'm Norwegian, so I've always enjoyed Ibsen plays, but it's the first time I actually performed in one. So the weight of it, and then putting this in the 1980s and adding the stain of the civil rights era and racism and the weight of that 27-layered burrito it's been one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. But it's been an extraordinary experience.
Great. And which character do you play?
I play Thomas Stockman. Thomas Stockman is a good man. He's a good doctor. He loves his family dearly. He's very excitable, and he believes in the truth, and he's so excited about being a part of the community. It's the thing that excites him the most. But he gets a little ahead of himself. He talks before he thinks, and in this play he takes things a little bit too far and stirs up some violence that almost gets them in trouble. But he's a dreamer, and he's a father, and he's a believer.
I love this take on Ibsen because on the enemy of the people. Because basically, it's like your character is he's a bit too good, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if you put him in the right situation, you put him in the South, you have him face racism, suddenly it just wakens it just makes it so relevant, you know what I mean?
Of course. The hard thing, we work so fast here, and sometimes we don't get to have as many conversations as we need to have about racism and the layers of how that affects every single character in this play. And especially in 1980, to have a mixed race family at this place in rural South Carolina, and what that would do. Now we're used to that. This family is very normal now. We see commercials now at the breakfast table with a mixed race family. So to put it at that time and to feel what that would have been like, I think is extraordinary. But it requires a lot of conversation. So we have to do extra work backstage when we're not in rehearsal to have these conversations because of the spirit of this place and how quickly we move. So that has been a challenge too, is really connecting with each person to make sure we're understood and all those gaps are filled, all that connective tissue comes together because it's so weighty. It's already weighty. Ibsen repeats himself 8 million times in every play, and then we put this on top of it, and there's a huge weight on it. There's a huge weight on us.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of racism out there, you know. I mean, there's people, you know. There's still a lot of racism out there. But basically, if my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see a very dynamic cast. They should expect to see a very uplifting experience. They should feel uncomfortable looking at some of this racism and how it's reflecting what we're looking at right now, with whether it be the Ku Klux Klan or our president or neo-Nazis or everything in between. People posing that and throwing dog whistles left and right. So you're going to feel a little uncomfortable at times, but you're also going to be lifted up at the spirit of this family and how they come together at the end.
Yeah, they'll also see basically dynamic, almost preaching, but preaching of, I wouldn't say about God, preaching about common sense, about, fairness, about what happens when a family is threatened, about what happens when they're just about doing the right thing, and they'll be actually uplifted, they'll be encouraged, they'll be actually motivated to go out there and do the right thing. You know what I mean?
I love that. I think that's great. Stockman likes to talk about the categories that we put ourselves in as human beings, poor and rich, or black and white, and he really breaks it down as the most important thing is the educated and uneducated, and it's not a bad word at all. And the lowest, the commoners in society the common people are really the uneducated people. So that's the argument, and he gets into some hot water over it. But I love that. I love your take on it. I love what you said.
Well, I loved your performance because first I loved your words. It almost like you were almost like you were doing a rap, almost like you were singing a song, like a black musical or something like that. You were imitating like a black preacher or even the president of Canada. So I just loved your performance tonight. I love the performance as a whole tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Catherine Griffith. I'm playing Mildred Stockman, the mayor and older sister to the enemy of the people. And I think this play by Ibsen, as adapted by Ellen Geer, is very relevant for our times. You have the overly practical and the overly idealistic and the divided city, the divided town, and even moderation is made fun of. And it brings up such important issues. And I play a little bit of the villain in it, but it's very exciting to do.
So what's your take on Mildred?
Mildred, I think she really loves the town. And, you know, she says ideas a dime a dozen. You got to make them reality. You know, you've got to, how can you make it practical? She's probably got some racism she doesn't know she has, but she does want to work with the people. And if you take away the people's income, she's concerned that, you know, people are going to starve. But is she going to cut corners and shovel things under the rug that shouldn't be? So her position isn't totally right, but I think she genuinely loves her brother, genuinely loves her town, and wants the best, and is thinking of the practical part of things. She's a politician.
I agree. I love the way you played your character, because she was, again, when you become a politician, something happens to you. You might start off as a nice person, but people change. I don't know if it's the power that changes them. I don't know if it's the people, the influence, the you know, the money that comes in. But whatever it is, the person just isn't the same again.
Do you know what it is? It's also you're used to working the practicality. You can say do this with people, but I know what they want. A politician like, let's say Nancy Pelosi, knows what you can say all you want with idealistic stuff, but what's really going to make it happen? You've got to acknowledge, you can't insult people. You know, I mean, I think she's not the worst politician. I think she's probably got some money in the game, but I don't think greed is her major thing. I think the thriving of her town is. And you don't insult these people. You got to work with everyone, and you got to work with who people are. Ibsen also says about this play, he wants to bring up questions, not answers. So I think what's so wonderful, I hope everyone goes out thinking questions. Wow, which side? What do I think? How do I work with my people? Am I too idealistic? Am I too practical? How do you really listen to people? What needs to be done? What do you do when there's contamination in water or climate change or wars? But how do you deal with the practical element? Because if you don't get to that, you can't really always make the change.
I'm amazed at how relevant it is to modern day times.
Isn't it? It was written in like 1882 or something like that. And you think, boy, the human race, we don't change, do we? Oh my gosh, it is amazing. And Ibsen's like the father of modern drama. And I think Ellen picked the perfect era to put it in, you know, and she picks, I said, why'd you pick South Carolina? And she says, because they were the state that still didn't allow interracial marriage, you know, for the longest. And so that gives another whole element to it, you know.
I love the performance. I loved your performance in particular, too, because you were the perfect foil. Kind of, you know, a play isn't just about the hero. It's also about the antagonist.
Yes.
And you were the perfect antagonist for this.
Thank you. I loved it. You know, it's almost like I'm more an idealist, frankly, but maybe my family has been a Mildred to me. And it's funny to play your shadow side or your demon side, and actually how easy it is that you've got this person in you, you know. So,
once again, loved your performance. You're fantastic. Love the performance as a whole. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for talking to me. And tell everyone to come.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Ernestine Phillips. Yeah. Well, I've been with the theater company for going on like 2 decades or something like that, and worked with Ellen many times. And she's one of those directors who find projects that not only entertain you, but they educate you. So you leave the theater knowing more than when you came. And it's absolutely wonderful because she believes in, you know, diversity 100%. So to set this particular play, Enemy of the People, which is a European piece, into 1980s South Carolina, and then talk about the race issue is really new and innovative.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So which character did you play tonight?
I'm playing Mrs. Stockman. You know, Mrs. Stockman is grew up in this really segregated town. And interesting enough, South Carolina during this time was the last state to even accept interracial marriage. So now you have this very doctor, Dr. Stockman, who sees a black woman and has, and marries her, and we put up with all kinds of things before we're finally driven out of this town, and we come back like 8, years later. But she obviously really loves this guy, because anybody else would have just, never come back. She would have taken her children with her and never come back. But she appreciates and is aware of his optimism and his wanting to, look through those rose-colored glasses and hope that he can make those kind of changes. And he really, really does, by bringing the spa into being to help finance the town.
I love this take on Ibsen. It's like, because it highlights the racism about it. Because again, that wasn't something you could really, it being in Europe, obviously. I mean, they could talk about racism in Europe, and it's like, oh yeah, right, the Irish don't like the Polish. Oh yeah, right. You know what I mean? But this one here, then it suddenly really matters, and it was just so beautifully done and so realistic.
You talk about the other side. We have the, Central Street, and on the other side of Central Street is where the black population is, and you see it's no different. White supremacy, white nationalism, current administration, where white power. And even though this spa is really to help the entire town, the only jobs that the people of color can get, the black population, is janitorial and cleaning up after white people. So as I say, it's very, current for today. It's absolutely no different than what's being tried today of keeping their white nationalists keeping their foot on the necks of people of color.
Yeah. Well, again, I loved your performance. I thought, first of all, you're very realistic, very natural. Again, it looked like the two of you were married, and actually, I believe that your character influenced their husband a lot, because he sounded almost like a black preacher. And again, he was
there's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. She influenced him. I mean, you couldn't help it. If you're married to someone of a different ethnicity, then of course they will influence each other, but you have these two people who are pretty much soulmates. They're just in different packages. You know what I'm saying? And but what they have to put up with here in this town, just to live, and to really say, you know what, I'm staying. I'm going to stay, and we're not changing. You are.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, I think you pretty much see current events. Not a whole lot has changed. We thought it had changed, but this particular production, and we see the administrative makeup of this town, of where once again white supremacy. The Klan is still active. Things are being run by white administrators, and the blacks in the town are getting the leftovers. That's what's happening. Mm-hmm.
Again, love the play, and basically, I've seen black theater before, and again, black theater is a little different. It actually has a tone to it, like almost like a meter to it, and I heard the meter here, but this wasn't really a black play. It was a white man playing a black play, a white town playing a black play, a white theme, so it had the power.
Well, tell you the truth, it's not a black play. I mean, it has black elements in it, because in our country we're diverse. You can't there's no town where it's just lily white. I mean, people of color are all over this country, and you cannot create laws without considering them. So it's not a black play. It has black elements. And it has the elements, of course, of the spa that's going to kill everybody because of the greed. It's the greed of the white administration. Now, that sounds real familiar to me.
Well, again, I love the play, and again, I agree. It wasn't a black play because that was what I was trying to get
not
to.
at all.
It was a play about people.
Right.
About right or wrong. I mean, what are you going to do? You can do right or wrong.
They just happen to be an interracial couple, and because of it, there was still the overtones of the old South. Because 1980 was still pretty, current, but they hang on. They still flying the Confederate flags down there in 1980. They're still trying to hang on to the old South, where there's a white massa and everybody, all the black folk is the slave. They're trying to hang on to that.
Yeah, I agree. And you actually saw that in Ibsen too, the themes of that in Ibsen.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the performance. I love the way you did it. So natural. So it was like a real family you were looking at. And you just played it just wonderfully.
Course. I mean, absolutely. It is a real, legitimate family. It just happens to be that he white, I'm black, and there's a bunch of interracial kids. Now the oldest girl here, she came already, when we married. So my husband, my first husband was a black man, and I already had her. But then when I married the white doctor, then we had, 3 more kids, interracial kids. So, I mean, when you look at the families today, my God, they're so diverse, and there's something really wonderful about it. You know what I mean? They're getting along just fine. They're happy, and until someone on the outside is looking in and trying to make a negative statement about them. But this family is so tight and love each other so much, even though Dad is a little kooky and he go off in left field. Everybody used to that. You know what I'm saying? But that we ignore that this kind of negative mess in the town.
Yeah. Well, I love the performance. I love your performance also.
Thank
you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jeff Wiesen. This will be my 20th season at the Theatricum Botanicum, so this is like a home for me. I have been a professional actor since my time graduating at UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. I hail from the San Francisco Bay Area, and live theater is my jam. I love this place, and I love being in front of a live audience, particularly one that likes to be outside and under the trees. And I have a little 2.5-year-old who's in the season this year at Theatricum. My wife is also a company member as well.
Great. And which character do you play tonight?
I play Alan Phillips, who is the head of the Small Business Owners Association and the local printer in town for the newspaper The People's Voice. Alan is a self-professed moderate man, and if you see the show, you will know, because I say the word moderation about 25 times in the course of the play. But I think that's really a mask for what I'm called by other characters in the show, which is just someone who sort of sways whatever direction the wind is blowing. And it's really kind of it's a depressing kind of person, I think, and someone that you see a lot in politics, and someone that you see a lot. Everyone knows the kind of person in their life who, depending on which way the wind is blowing, that person's going to go that direction, or whichever, very easily swayable. And so Ellen, our director, and I have worked together a lot to sort of find where this character stands on the racial issue in terms of being a racist, and where he stands on the poor and the wealthy issue, because I have a little bit of clout being the Small Business Owners Association head of that organization. So I think that it's really a portrayal of somebody who is a professed moderate, but operates in a political way, in that everything is done for self-interest. Every action I take in the course of the play, from the very beginning when I stand out to support Dr. Thomas Stockman, to the very end where I condemn him as an enemy of the people, everything is done in self-interest and in the interest of what's best for me and what's best for my kind, my people that I represent, which are the homeowners and the taxpayers. And from my perspective, you see that every day in politics. You see the people that are representing their constituency, and I'm using air bunnies right now because that's the code word said by politicians when they want to do something that might not be popular with the population at large, or that might not be right, but is going to get them elected. So I see it as a representation of that kind of person and that population.
I basically love anti-heroes and villains, basically because of several reasons. One, I think they have more meat. They can actually act. They have more acting lines. More emotions they can play off of. But another reason behind it is because the hero in this play was actually very heroic. He didn't have a whole lot of flaws, right? Mm-hmm. Which, in my opinion, makes it a little boring, even though I loved his performance. Mm-hmm. But basically, a true person, some people say that what makes a person is basically his heroes or his mentors. That's not really true. What really makes a person are his enemies. That really tests your mettle, tries you, whether you can conquer them or not. So your character really actually influenced the play, in my opinion, tremendously.
Well, I absolutely agree with that. I think there's a moment in the scene in the printing room where he's saying, here's what I'm going to do. I can't get the town hall, and I can't get my article printed, so I'm going to take to the streets. And I say to him, you won't find a single person in town to go with you. And I think that's the first challenge where, a lot of people might say, well, if that's the case, what am I doing? Just throw in the towel. But I go from there to the meeting that he's able to get together, and I use that platform and I use the microphone to sway every person in town against him other than his family. And I think it's, it's like you said, it's a guy who doesn't really have any flaws, Dr. Stockman, and even with the entire town against him, he still sticks to what's right, and he does the right thing, which I think is an amazing message to tell in today's climate where, standing up for what is right and doing the right thing, even if it's unpopular, it might get you kicked out of town or not reelected or whatever it might be. I wish some of our state senators would do things like that when it comes to Supreme Court nominations and really stand up for what's right. You have so many people right now in our country who can see what's going on, and it is baffling the actions taken by people in power who are elected representatives who are supposed to represent the wishes of the people. So I'm straying from your question, but I think that you're right. It is villains that really illuminate heroes, and I think that the fact that Dr. Stockman is able to stick to his principles despite the entire town being rallied against him is what makes him the hero, the tragic hero of this play.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I had some people come today to the show, and I didn't tell them anything because I think this piece is best viewed sort of as a blank slate. I do. I think if you have knowledge of Enemy of the People already, great, you have an idea of what the play's about, but this is a new piece. It's and it starts off in a very shocking and surprising way, and I think you should come to expect to be challenged. And I would come with your ears open, ready to listen to some pretty incredible language.
Basically, if you come here expecting to see a classical piece, you're not going to see it. This is actually a really fresh take. It was almost like you were seeing a piece that was filmed today. Well, actually, maybe in the 80s. Yeah. But it was really well done. I mean, it was like watching basically a piece about racism, which, again, there's still racism in it. And it was so refreshing. It was so uplifting. But it was also so realistic, and sometimes, I guess, if you looked at it a different way, it would be depressing. You know what I mean?
So you just brought up a lot of things, and I'll speak to a few of them. I think that the first thing is that it is truly a very impressive adaptation by Ellen Geer, and I thought that the moment I read it. In fact, I was not familiar with Enemy of the People. When I read the Ibsen play, I thought, this is the show I want to be a part of. I've been here for a long time, and I look at the season, and I decide which plays I'm interested in. This was number one on my list because of the play itself and how incredible it is. It's an incredible play to read. I highly recommend reading the Ibsen version. Then, when I was cast, I read Ellen's adaptation, and you're right, it is a different piece of theater, but she has done this incredible job of maintaining the story, maintaining the plot of this piece, and adding in this level of segregation and racism in the 80s and what we still, experience to this day. And I think that's why it's powerful, that's why it's important, and it's a credit to the cast that it comes off as naturalistic. So that's a huge compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the piece. I loved your performance in it. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Max Lawrence. Well, it's great having so many folks out here for the opening of Enemy of the People. I play the role of Horatio, a media man himself. We took a really bold adaptation of Heinrich Ibsen's play, 1980 in South Carolina, and it was great to have a lot of support from the community, from our theater family on day one. We feel like we're in a really good place and looking forward to continuing throughout the whole summer.
Great. Which character are you playing again?
His name is Horatio. He works for the local newspaper and kind of has a change of heart when he goes from trying to do the right thing for the community, and he kind of flips that into a mode of self-preservation once it looks like the topic is a little bit more controversial than he initially thought. Horatio is one of those guys who mistakes and kind of blurs the line between self-preservation and community preservation. Some of the initial action that he is interested in taking for the good of the community, he abandons because he realizes that his personal livelihood might be at stake, and he's not the kind of person to make that personal sacrifice even for the greater good. And so he, eventually bends to the pressure, and perhaps he might thrive a little bit in the aftermath of that, but he's certainly not thought highly of within his own community afterwards.
Yeah, if my viewers come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
A lot of really bold topics, especially when it comes to race relations, the different levels of social life that people have to live in, the conditions that people have to live in, and how different people view one particular topic or one particular controversy, where the sides are taken, and where people have to realize that they're making personal sacrifices in order for a greater cause or a greater good, and how far some people are willing to go in order to make those greater goods take place, and which ones end up caving because of public scrutiny or fear for their families or fear for their livelihoods. Hopefully it will cause the audience to think a lot about some of the social and political situations that we view on the news, see and encounter every day, and see which ideals they're willing to sacrifice some personal comfort for.
Your character reminds me a lot of me.
Hopefully not too much.
Well, not too much, but there's some things some things dark have happened in my life. I've been blacklisted at several theaters before.
Oh, okay. Well, you're more than welcome here, and as far as that sacrifice goes, Horatio hasn't found, as a character, he hasn't found that thing that he's really willing to sacrifice for yet. We would have to see how the events of Little South Fork, South Carolina unfolds to see just what the straw is that will break the camel's back, where he is forced to take a stand that's outside of his comfort zone. It's something not just for a media man who is who has kind of the pulse on politics, social issues, who talks to various people, really is on the ground floor as far as people's opinions and ideals go, but just as a citizen himself.
Well, I love the performance. I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Connor Clark Pascal. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride opening a play that dances on this line of controversy, but a play that also stays in tune with its historical accuracy and is true to its historical accuracy. And for instance, the David Duke speech that myself and another actor, we alternate playing David Duke every other night, get to do, is actually not written by Ellen. It's actually word for word a real speech from David Duke from 1970. That's a very interesting thing to literally step into the shoes of something using the actual historical text. Has been something I've never done before, and something I'm I feel very grateful for. But also it comes with a lot of responsibility, and it's it just takes more full commitment than probably anything else I've ever done.
Well, I loved your performance. I mean, you were fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
It added so much to the play because it was in the very beginning and kind of set the tone for everything. So I just really loved the performance you did.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and it does. It sets the scene for the whole thing, and so it's been an interesting thing to kind of go through, and also until tonight, just speaking to sort of an empty audience. So today was the first time looking out there and seeing audience reactions of all different kinds. So it was a blast. There were different reactions, yes, depending on the person. So, but thank you for saying so.
Yeah, well, loved your performance.
Thank you.
Shocking, distasteful at times.
Yes.
But basically, I just loved your performance. I thought you were fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
And thank you for the interview.
Heinrich Ibsen's An Enemy of the People will be playing at Theatricum Botanicum from June 22nd to September 28th. For more information, go to www.theatricum.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Odyssey Theater for the Dance On Productions presentation of Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus, and I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Susan Prever. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm so glad this opening night is over, because this is the hardest role I have ever done in my life, the hardest role I will ever do, most likely. And whether I get to do it again, who knows? But oh my God, I'm a little bit in a weird zone, like I need to go to a mental hospital or something.
And which character did you play?
Only Blanche Dubois. Well, the music of the play is written in an extraordinary way. It is probably Tennessee's, besides Glass Menagerie, it is probably Tennessee's best play. And everything in it works. It's just what the actors and the director have to do is to find a way into this incredible music. And so you have to find the melody inside yourself to play those words, because it's got to be in you or you can't, because it's so layered and so complex and so extraordinary, actually, that you can't just read the words. You have to embody them with your entire being, all the way out to your fingertips.
I agree. Basically, I love your eloquence. The words just flowed out of your mouth. Your body kind of flowed with the music, almost like you were doing a dance at the same time. Very graceful, very elegant, a reflection of Southern aristocracy.
Well, that's what she was, but she's lost it all and has forgotten how to keep it all, and she has become a prostitute to sort of just to survive, but that's not something she wants to reveal to people, obviously. She wants Mitch to save her. Anyone to save her, actually.
I love the way it had these undertones, reflections of, you don't know if she was a prostitute, but it was alluded to. You didn't know that there was a gay scene in there or not, or that her husband was gay. It was alluded to, and you didn't know that she was raped or not. It was alluded to. It was just tastefully done behind kind of a silk curtain where you kind of see the images behind it. You know what I mean?
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that happened. That's a lot of work on the part of the director, our great director, Jack Heller, and the actors to create that. Because it's not a lewd play, but it has the undertones of the complexities of human behavior. It has all of them in there.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see a very dangerous, a very sexual, a very sensual, a very colorful, a very roller coaster ride of emotions with every character, and a beautifully written story.
I agree, and also the acting on this was outstandingly done, because again, it's a very long play. It's very challenging. You got to get this thing right, otherwise it'll seem stereotypical. It'll seem like just an old record being played.
It would seem awful. It's almost like watching bad ballet. If it's not done extraordinarily well, or bad Shakespeare. I don't want to compare Williams to Shakespeare. He's more of a modern classic. But if it's not done well, it is boring as hell. And you can't just tell the words. It has to be completely embodied from the inside out.
Well, I love the performance. I thought it was a real tour de force for you. I'm going to remember this piece for a long time.
Oh, good.
Basically because it was so well done. It was so tastefully done. Because, again, it's actually really hot and heavy, and if you don't do it right, it can be a mess. You know what I mean? It's like doing doing an omelet. If you don't do it right, it's going to be a mess.
We didn't overcook it then.
Right. Well, once again, loved your performance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Max Williams. I'm so grateful to be doing this part. You know, it's been a dream of mine my whole life, and I wouldn't trade this instant for anything. I'm just grateful.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Stanley.
What's your take on Stanley?
I'll give you a one-word answer. He's a savage. That's what he is.
Did you take a lot of influence from, say, Marlon Brando?
No. I never watched the film. I've never seen the film. I've seen clips. I know his work. I really wanted to stay away because, and I'm not going to read any reviews. This play is what we're doing with it, and whatever happened 75 years ago, 72 to be exact, that's their journey, and that part was lionized for him. But this is about the play. It's always been about the play, and I truly believe if I hold on to that, then everything will be okay. We did the work. That's it.
You actually kind of remind me of, say, a young Archie Bunker. Young and trim, but also, one thing about him, he always loved his wife.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that was, you make a choices, not to get actory, because that's boring, but Stanley, that's the one thing that he is faithful to. It's the one thing he is. His wife is everything to him. Everything else is chaos, but his wife is his anchor. And if that goes away, he will have nothing.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Raw, relentless passion.
I agree. Basically, again, this version of Tennessee Williams, I love the way you guys, put yourselves into it, put your voices into it. But basically, sing a song, a Southern song, a Tennessee Williams song. You know what I mean? Just very artfully done.
I love that. That's really beautiful, man. I appreciate you saying that. In fact, that is probably the best compliment we could ever be given. To say that you saw a song fits his poetry. He's a poet, and I don't know, when you're in this journey, you can't objectively look at it. You just know the feelings that you have, and that man knew how to write feeling. He was a poet through and through, so that was a really cool compliment. Thank you.
Well, he was autistic, so again, he wrote the truth, basically.
Yes, he did.
And also he was homosexual, but also, and you saw streams of that. You saw his life in there. His sister was lobotomized.
Rose, yes.
So at the end, you kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of had reflections of his entire life through it.
Yeah, that, obviously in the lead up, doing the research and reading all about Tennessee and knowing his journey with Rose and his uncle, his grandfather. Those were the only two people he really loved. And, the grandfather died. He actually was riding streetcar in Key West in January of 47 and with his grandfather. And his grandfather was the inspiration on that trip. Then he finished it in New Orleans, but he started it in Key West with his grandfather. So, he was a wild man, Tennessee, and I'm so grateful to say his words. I don't know if I'll ever get to do it again. I'm grateful.
Well, I loved your performance tonight. I thought it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And something I always remember.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something, man. There's another beautiful compliment. Thank you very much. That's really cool.
Because I love Archie Bunker. I love Carol O'Connor. I love Tennessee Williams' work, so you just did a wonderful job tonight.
That's so cool. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful Memorial Day.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being on the show. Cheers. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Melissa Sullivan. I just finished Streetcar Named Desire. I'm playing Stella, and we opened, and we're having a great time on the patio. I think the show went really well. We have 6 weeks, and I'm really excited to be part of this cast and crew. Everybody works together so well, and it's just an honor to be living in Tennessee Williams' words and world. Really excited.
So what's your take on Stella?
I think Stella is torn between the old world and the new world. Her sister and Stanley. She wants everybody to be happy. And she's has a lot of love, for her sister, and a lot of love for Stanley. And I think that's a really difficult thing. And that's part of the arc that I've been working on with her character. the transition and the decision to stay with Stanley.
Would women find this rather insulting? That they allow men to beat them up, they allow men to get away with being boys and all that. Do you find it? Do you just find it a little distasteful?
Well, you have to think it was written in 1947. Times have changed, which is a good thing, but domestic violence, it's still happening, and the cycle of abuse is still happens. So it's very pointed. You have Eunice, you have Blanche, and Stella. They're all going through that and have witnessed, and then also gone through the misogynistic culture, right? So I think you can really learn from seeing this play, even though it was written in 1947. Things have changed. It's great to look at it and see how far we come, but then also think about what we need to do in order to improve our situation even more.
I always look at, say, your character, and tonight I looked at your character and Stanley as being like, All in the Family. Archie Bunker and his wife, Edith. She again. First of all, he always loved her, and no matter what his faults was, he always loved her. But she always put up with him too. You know what I mean? Always supported him, even though she knew very well he wasn't flawed. Even though she was kind of better than he was. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean there are certain aspects to Stanley's character that he's. He isn't completely all bad, right? Nobody is completely bad. Nobody's completely good. There's a complexity to it, and Stanley has a lot of love, and he really does love Stella.
Well, I love the performance tonight. I love your performance, and also thank you very much for being on the show.
All right, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Christopher Parker. I played Mitch in Streetcar, and it was great. Thank you for interviewing me. Come and see the play. It's wonderful. Tennessee Williams and poetry and magic and savage beasts, and they fight it together, and I'm not going to tell you who wins, the apes or the beautiful people. You have to come and see it.
Okay, good. And your character, Mitch. What's your take on Mitch?
He's a lonely man looking for love, and he found it, he thought, and it turned out differently. And now he has his mother to go home to, and she won't live long.
I like the way you played your character, because it gave a little realism into a piece that was very intense. Kind of like, putting a white background behind really bright, vibrant colors. That was your character.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. The soft characters in Tennessee Williams, they have to be lit that way. They have to be colorful and wear like a colorful shirt because they're so soft inside.
Yeah. Well, I love the performance tonight. You guys played it intensely, gave tremendous respect for Tennessee Williams, and just played it very beautifully.
Well, thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
Right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
All right, bye.
A Streetcar Named Desire will be playing at the Odyssey Theater from May 25th to July 7th. For more information, go to www.odysseytheater.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Odyssey Theater for their presentation of Loot.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Robbie Jarvis. Yeah, we've opened Loot tonight. Loot is a black comedy about two boys that rob a bank, and one of them decides that he's going to hide the money in his recently deceased mother's coffin.
Great, and which character do you play?
I play Hal. I play one of the bank robbers. He's a lot of fun. He ends up foiling his father and pins the entire thing on his dad. So it's kind of about how young people need to make their own way in the world.
It's a classical British comedy.
Yep.
A farce, basically, where where things are turned upside down, where the nobility is actually the miscreants, where the criminals are actually the heroes, and all kind of with the nobility.
Yeah.
So but it was also done extremely well by the actors themselves.
Oh well, that's very kind of you to say that. I can't say that. Yeah, it's the triumph of the working man.
That's great. And also, as for a theater piece, though, very comical, It's all time. It's a British comedy. If you've seen things on PBS like Black Adder or Red Dwarf, that's what it was like.
Well, and this was written in 1964, so this preceded them. This is where that kind of comedy kind of originated on the stage in London. So yeah, it's slapstick. It's very fun. If you want to watch lots of madness on stage, then this is your show.
Great. If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see lots of fun and hijinks. Come with an open mind, because you are going to see dead bodies being flung around and thrown into cupboards, and bring your laughing shoes, because it's going to be fun.
I agree. I thought it was very funny, very theatrical. It was also, for its time, very shocking, where old women would marry young men, where there'll be multiple murders, where actually they'd be joking about homosexuality. A really dark comedy, but actually very funny.
Well, when the play was originally put on in 1965, they had to change the script because they weren't allowed to do it as it is. So I think this is the first production in Los Angeles which has got the real, authentic, unchanged script. So yeah, it's a fun show.
That was amazing. Plus, also love you guys' comic timing, your look, your accent, everything about it was just perfect. I felt like I was watching a TV series, actually, off of PBS.
Off of PBS, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe that's the next step. We'll do Luke the TV series.
All right. Well, once again, love your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Ron Batista. Well, I'm here. We just did Loot. Played Inspector Truscott, the rather violent bourgeois policeman from the Metropolitan Police Force. And this is the third show I've done at the Odyssey this season, so I'm sort of happy to be back here again.
Actually, I see in classical plays there's these recurring themes like the aristocrats are fools, and the commoners are actually very intelligent and all that.
Yeah.
But in your case was every time I would see the police officers or the constables or the civil service, and they're just a bunch of fools, just like the Queen. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure you want to include the Queen in that, but I think there's definitely a level of civil servants that have their agenda, and sometimes they get very they get involved with tunnel vision, and they have their things to do and don't take into account all the things that are going around them. But I think there's a great viciousness to Truscott, which it's the authority putting the boot in and reinforcing the social order. And Auden was very aware of that in the 60s, and that was one of the things he was pushing against.
Yeah, that's something I love about British comedy. Again, they will talk about modern politics and give this little twisty joke, like there's an affair going on, and there would be an affair going on, and they would just nail the joke as far as they'll to be able to take it. You know what I mean?
Well, everyone thinks that the whole British society is all very polite, but to enlarge the empire, to get the empire the size it was in 1900, you don't do that by being polite. You do that by enforcing rules and being quite violent, and I think that's one of the things that Auden's were dealing with. It's one of the things he wanted to portray.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Someone just told me this play was a hoot, and that's the sort of advertising headline that writes itself. Loot is a hoot. It's crazy high energy. There's dead bodies. There's dead people's teeth being used as castanets. There's brutality. There's bodies upside down in coffins. There's explosions. It's got it all.
I agree. If you like British comedy, you like British farce, basically the jokes are very highbrow, and they actually have this dark meaning in the back about police brutality, about basically if you're a prostitute, then you're a noble person. You know what I mean? The very opposite of what things are. If you're a Catholic priest, then you're a miscreant or something like that. Yeah. That's what you get from this thing.
Everyone's a miscreant in this, though. Everyone's a miscreant. Everyone's very transactional. There are no morals. Everyone's in for something, and that's the sort of thing that Auden worked. That's the world he lived in to a great extent, and he portrays it in this play. It's lovely. It's really fun.
I love the piece. Again, classic theater. Really hard to get good comedy. The acting was fantastic because again, it's all timing. They were hilarious. The audience was just laughing, rolling in the aisles. So I thought you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Lovely talking with you.
Great.
Again.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Alex James Phelps. It's just a really good opening night. night. I'm glad for the people that came along, and we look forward to more nights like this.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Dennis. He's a great character to play. You know, he's a good laugh, doesn't care too much about anything in the world, so you can have a lot of fun with him.
I love the piece. It was actually, basically, if you're a fan of British comedy, you would just love this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. If you can dip into that British comedy humour, then I'm sure you'll love this. You know, it's a complete farce. So, that's what we do it for. You know, people to come here and have fun.
Yeah, if my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Just a lot of ridiculousness on stage, and fast-paced play with a lot of craziness.
I thought the wit and the language is very, very, very deep, very intellectual. It was very witty. It was also, again, a little unconventional because they will talk about things like, randy characters. You know what I mean? They will talk about incest. They'll talk about homicide. They'll talk about a lot of the stuff that it's hard to make jokes out of, but the British seem to be able to do that.
Yeah, especially Joe Orton. I don't know if you've read any of his other plays, but they're all very much like this. It's very particular language, and I think that's what makes it funny.
Well, I love the performance. I love your performances. I thought it was hilarious. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
I'm Nicholas Horman. Well, I'm so happy that the opening went so well, relatively speaking, because the challenges are twofold. One is extremely rapid-fire dialogue combined with ridiculous physical shenanigans. And once or twice I found myself almost gasping just to keep, gasping for breath. But we had fun.
Great. And which character did you play?
I play McCleavey, the man who who's the father of Hal, the young man in the play. I've chosen to adopt a kind of a lower middle class position of someone who aspires to be higher class and therefore often gets himself offended about things that go against the grain of his sense of propriety and the proper thing to do and morality, and he's always offended by anything that's remotely indecent. But at the same time, underneath it is a quiet kind of pleasure at witnessing all the indecencies that occur around him. Something like that.
Great. If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
A lot of silliness. It's very English, but I think that it plays very well to American audiences. I mean, tonight's audience seemed to appreciate it completely and get everything.
I loved it. And actually, your character is kind of the straight character, this classical English character who's noble, who's just pure white, and everyone around him is just these clowns and all that.
So he's kind of bewildered. That's right. He's totally bewildered a lot of the time, right? Yes.
So I love the performance. I thought everyone's comic timing was fantastic. And in theater, it's not all classical. It's not all dramatic. It's not all people being murdered. There's actually a lot of comedy in Moliere and all that, in which is very hilarious. And this was a fantastic example of a piece like that.
Thank you for saying so. I really appreciate the skillful way that Orton combines that kind of deft use of language with the physical stuff that I talked about earlier.
Yeah. Once again, love your performance. I thought you were classic. I thought this was like watching an episode from PBS, one of those classical British comedies.
Yes, yeah, right. Maybe like Carry On, those movies as well, right? Yeah. The English are very gifted at being totally silly. Look at John Cleese. Look at so many. Yeah.
Once again, love the performance, and I love your performance too. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Aarons. We've just done the opening night of our play Loot at the Odyssey Theatre, and I think it went pretty well. Come see it.
Great. And which character did you play?
I play Faye. My take on Faye. Well, she's a nurse, and she's a Catholic nurse, but she's also got a bad streak in her, so you better be careful. You definitely don't want to marry her.
Thank you very much. I thought your character was incredibly charming and incredibly adorable, even though she was a terrible person.
Yeah, terrible person.
Yeah, the British are kind of like that. They turn things upside down, where people of nobility are like fools. People who are rich are like idiots, but people who are common hard workers, they're suddenly like these incredibly intelligent people.
Yeah, right. It's a fun play, though. It's a really wordy play, but it's a farce. It's like everything gets, turned on its head and twists and turns throughout the whole play, and that's what makes it fun and exciting and ridiculous and silly and just something to have a good laugh with.
I agree, but again, it is actually very classical. You see Molière is like that. You'll see classical clowning is like that, and that's very theatrical. So I thought this piece basically showed that side of British comedy.
Yes.
And it's also very complex. It talks about homosexuality. It talks about homicide.
Yeah.
And it talks about all that stuff, and it does it with this charm, this adorableness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's Joe Wharton's humour just to pass over a lot of issues in a comedic way. And yeah, it's all the issues that they come across, and is still very political and still very current to this day. Is talked. All the words are very, they just kind of blasé over them in a very comical way, I guess. I don't know. I'm having a glass of wine.
I've noticed also most of the cast is English. That's very unusual, even for me in a theater city like Los Angeles. I don't see this many English actors.
Oh, we are here. We're here to stay. But there's quite a lot of English people in LA, I guess. There's one actor who's not. No, actually, there's two actors in the play that aren't English. Selena and Nick, but they do a marvelous job at doing an English accent. So.
Okay, one last question. If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
What should they expect to see? They should expect to see a lot of controversy, a lot of ridiculous. You should just come and see it. I undress a corpse on stage. There's a lot of physical comedy. Just come and see it. I don't know.
I agree. First of all, I thought it was hilarious. Great classical timing. If you love English comedy, British comedy, like Red Dwarf or Black Adder, you'll see stuff like this, which talks about these ridiculous things, but actually dark stuff too. And they just do it with such humor and grace. You know what I mean?
Also, the language is very. All the language is very classical, so you have to be listening. I think at the beginning you have to. It's a bit like Shakespeare. At the very beginning, you're listening to the words and you're trying to understand what sort of genre and the flow of it is, and within a few minutes it kind of washes over you and you understand everything that's coming. It's not modern day, but it's still a farce and it's still funny, and it's a lot of fun.
Once again, love the performance. I love your performance. I thought you were, again, charming, graceful, elegant. You're classical, typical British female actress. I guess you're a bit of a stereotype, but you're just a wonderful stereotype.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Right. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Selena Willery Smith. I'm an actress that's currently working at the Odyssey Theater in a production of Loot, and I play Mrs. McLeavy. Well, she's not alive, but hopefully my performance is very much alive, and without giving too much away, I move around quite a lot for somebody who really can't move around quite a lot.
If my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Oh, a terrifically funny, quick, witty, British romp, and just a laugh from beginning to end.
Yeah, I noticed that it actually had a lot of classical theatrical mediums in it. For example, like the aristocracy, they're fools, and the lower common people, the thieves, are actually noble in their take. The humor is very dark. They'll talk about things like homosexuality, and make it very witty, very humorous. You know what I mean?
Well, back in the 60s, I think a lot of that subject matter was very underlying, and I think the play was quite controversial at the time. So yes, they poke fun at the play pokes fun at a lot of different things and illuminates sort of I think the police force is really what they're making fun of the most, really, in this play. But they do take a look at everything pretty closely, turn it around, make fun of it.
Well, I love the performance. I love the performance of the entire entire cast, and you're actually a very key part of it also, because you help move things around and all that. And I thought you guys were fantastic.
Oh, I so appreciate it. Without an audience, we don't have a play, so we really appreciate people coming out. And I think everybody who came out to this play tonight had a really good time, and that's really what we want. That's really all we care about.
Great. Once again, I love the performance. I love your performance. I love classical British comedy.
So funny.
Black Adder and all that. Well, it's more than just funny. It's it's kind of twisted. You know what I mean? They'll take these jokes about police brutality and suddenly make it hilarious. You know what I mean? So I just love the performance.
Thank you so much. Well, isn't that what comedy does? It takes you take a real close look at it, twists it around, helps you laugh at it, but then it makes you go, ooh, what did I just laugh at? Thank you.
Yeah, once again, love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Loot will be playing at the Odyssey Theater from June 8th to August 10th. For more information, go to www.odysseytheater.com.